Great Expectations by Charles Dickens is this classic worth reading. Set in Kent and London in the early to mid-19th century, Great Expectations follows the life of an orphan named Pip as he navigates his way through different social classes in Victorian England. The novel masterfully weaves themes of ambition, social class, loyalty, and redemption into a compelling narrative. Great Expectations is comparable in length to Dickens' David Copperfield, though perhaps a bit shorter, a substantial Victorian novel but not as intimidating as something like Tolstoy's War and Peace. The pacing is deliberate, as is typical of Dickens, with rich character development and atmospheric description taking precedence over fast-moving plot. While younger readers might appreciate the adventure elements, I would recommend this for readers 16+ who can fully grasp the social commentary and psychological depth. Plot. Just a heads up, this part contains spoilers, so skip ahead if you want to avoid them. Great Expectations is narrated by Philip Pirrip, known as Pip, who begins his story as a young orphan being raised by his harsh sister and her kind-hearted blacksmith husband, Joe Gargery. The novel opens memorably in a graveyard where Pip encounters an escaped convict, Abel Magwitch, whom he helps by bringing food and a file to remove his chains. This seemingly small act of kindness sets in motion a chain of events that will shape Pip's entire life. Pip is later invited to visit the eccentric Miss Havisham, a wealthy recluse who lives in decay at Satis House, permanently wearing her wedding dress after being jilted at the altar decades before. There, Pip meets and falls in love with Estella, Miss Havisham's beautiful but cold-hearted ward who has been raised specifically to break men's hearts as revenge against the male sex. When Pip unexpectedly comes into a fortune from a mysterious benefactor, he assumes it is Miss Havisham and eagerly leaves his humble origins behind to become a gentleman in London. He adopts a snobbish attitude, becomes ashamed of his connections to Joe and the Forge, and pursues his hopeless love for the emotionally unavailable Estella. The novel's great twist comes when Pip discovers that his benefactor is not Miss Havisham but the convict Magwitch, who has secretly made a fortune in Australia and devoted it to making Pip a gentleman out of gratitude. This revelation shatters Pip's illusions about his great expectations, and forces him to reconsider what truly matters in life. The plot weaves together multiple storylines involving characters like the lawyer Jaggers, his clerk, Wemmick, Pip's friend Herbert Pocket, and the violent Orlick. The conclusion brings a humbled and matured Pip full circle as he reconciles with Joe, confronts the consequences of Miss Havisham's vengeance, and comes to terms with his feelings for Estella after both have been tempered by suffering. One of the most fascinating aspects of the novel is Dickens' creation of memorable secondary characters. From the kind-hearted Herbert Pocket to the eccentric but lovable Wemmick, whose home is literally his castle, these supporting characters often provide both comic relief and moral counterpoints to Pip's journey. I give it a score of 9 out of 10 for plot. Not just for its intricate design and satisfying resolution, but for how masterfully Dickens weaves together themes, character development, and social commentary into a cohesive narrative that feels both surprising and inevitable. Point. Great Expectations delivers profound insights into human nature and society. At its core, the novel explores how external factors like wealth and class influence but do not determine one's moral character. Pip's journey from innocent boy to snobbish gentleman to humbled man demonstrates that true worth lies not in social status but in loyalty, compassion, and integrity. Dickens offers a scathing critique of the rigid class system of Victorian England, showing how social hierarchies corrupt natural human connections. When Pip comes into money, he abandons Joe, the novel's moral center who loved him unconditionally, in favor of superficial London society. The realization that his gentleman status was funded by a convict forces Pip to confront the hollowness of class distinctions. The novel also explores expectations themselves, how our hopes, ambitions, and assumptions shape our perceptions and actions. Miss Havisham's twisted expectations for Estella, Pip's great expectations for himself, and Magwitch's expectations for his gentleman, all lead to unforeseen consequences, demonstrating the danger of imposing rigid expectations on life and others. Dickens doesn't shy away from showing the shadow side of human nature, bitterness, revenge, cruelty, while still maintaining a fundamentally hopeful view that people can change and redemption is possible. Miss Havisham's last-minute repentance, Magwitch's transformation from criminal to benefactor, and Pip's growth from snobbery to compassion all reflect this optimistic moral vision. The novel also contains subtle commentary on the legal system, through Jaggers, and the treatment of criminals, through Magwitch, reflecting Dickens' lifelong concern with social justice. He shows how arbitrary and often corrupt these systems could be, while suggesting that true justice transcends legal definitions. While some modern readers might find Dickens occasionally sentimental or moralistic, the complexity with which he treats these themes elevates them beyond simple didacticism. His characters are neither simply good nor evil but complex beings shaped by their experiences and choices. I give it a score of 8 out of 10 for point. The moral and social insights of the novel remain as relevant today as they were in Victorian England, even if some of the specific social contexts have changed. The style. Dickens' style in Great Expectations is rich, detailed, and distinctive. The first-person narration through Pip allows for both immediacy of experience and the wisdom of retrospection, as the older Pip looks back on his younger self with understanding and sometimes irony. The prose is characteristically Dickensian, elaborate, melodious, and packed with vivid descriptions that bring settings to life, from the misty marshes of Kent to the grim streets of London. Consider this description of Satis House. It was spacious, and I dare say had once been handsome, but every discernible thing in it was covered with dust and mold, and dropping to pieces. The most prominent object was a long table with a tablecloth spread on it, as if a feast had been in preparation when the house and the clocks all stopped together. Dickens excels particularly at character descriptions that reveal personality through physical appearance and mannerism. Miss Havisham is unforgettably portrayed as the strangest lady I have ever seen or shall ever see, dressed in faded bridal attire with bright and glittering eyes. These visual characteristics serve as external manifestations of internal traits. The novel's tone masterfully balances humor, pathos, and suspense. Even in its darkest moments, Dickens finds room for comic relief, often through characters like Wemmick or situations that verge on the absurd. Yet he never undermines the serious emotional and moral stakes at the heart of the story. Dickens' use of coincidence as a plot device may strike some modern readers as contrived. The web of connections between characters sometimes stretches credibility. However, these coincidences serve a thematic purpose, illustrating how interconnected human lives are beneath surface appearances and social divisions. The pacing is deliberate, with extended descriptive passages and character studies that might challenge readers accustomed to more streamlined contemporary narratives. Yet these seeming digressions often contain some of the novel's richest material, rewarding patient attention. Unlike some first-person narrators who lack self-awareness, Pip grows increasingly perceptive about his own flaws and mistakes. This evolution in consciousness is reflected in subtle shifts in narrative tone throughout the novel, creating a psychologically rich portrait of moral development. I give it a score of 8 out of 10 for style. Dickens' prose may occasionally veer toward excess, but its richness, precision, and emotional power more than compensate for moments of Victorian wordiness. Conclusion. I give it a score of 8.3/10 for overall. Great Expectations stands as one of Dickens' most accomplished works and remains a cornerstone of English literature. Its exploration of ambition, class, loyalty, and redemption resonates across time and cultures, while its unforgettable characters have become archetypes in our collective imagination. While its deliberate pacing and elaborate style may require some adjustment for readers accustomed to contemporary fiction, the rewards are immense. Psychological insight, social commentary, moral complexity, and moments of both heartbreak and humor. The novel's greatest strength lies in how it marries an engaging story with profound themes, neither sacrificing narrative momentum for message nor depth for entertainment. Pip's journey from innocence through corruption to redemption offers both compelling drama and enduring wisdom about human nature. I would particularly recommend Great Expectations to readers interested in Victorian literature, coming-of-age stories with psychological depth, or social commentary wrapped in masterful storytelling. Even if you've encountered the story through film adaptations, the richness of Dickens' prose and the subtlety of his characterization make the original text well worth experiencing. Ready to experience this timeless classic for yourself? Get your copy of Great Expectations in paperback today. Click link in description below to order directly from my KDP store on Amazon and have this beautiful edition delivered straight to your door.